Okay, I think I got this figured out. Hopefully you can see my face in the corner and you can see the syllabus on your screen. I will be taking you through it. So I'm Professor Butler. Please call me Professor Butler or Prof B, Prof Butler. Ms. Butler is fine. MS Dot is fine. Mrs. Butler is not fine. That's my mother. I am married, but I didn't take my husband's name. So I'm Professor Butler or Ms. Butler. Those are your choices, or Prof B, Prof Butler. Don't have to be super formal. I just really hate, we live in the South, and I hate being called Miss Mandy. Please don't do that. I can't stand it. It gives me flashbacks of when I taught preschool and I had little greedy, grubby hands, sweet, but greedy, grubby hands, insisting that I poke straws in Capri Suns and screaming Miss Mandy at the top of their toddler lungs. So please just Prof B, Prof Butler, Professor Butler, Ms. Butler, those are your choices. So why is that important if we're not taking the class in person or even on Zoom together? Well, I have a pretty, I'll say it, intense email policy. And you're going to need to address me whenever you email me to follow that policy. Now, here's the thing about the email policy. We're going to cover it today. There's a quiz over it that's due tonight at 11:55 p.m. You just need to read the instructions on Wolf Den that are already open and posted for you. When you go into the participation section in coursework on Wolf Den, you will click on the assignment. Make sure you click on the assignment because sometimes people will get confused that they can't see the directions because they can see the assignment, but you have to click. When in doubt, click. So click on the assignment that is called something like email policy quiz or email syllabus quiz. I know the words email and quiz are in it. So click on that assignment. It's in the participation section, and then make sure that you follow the posted directions and then email me. It's the only thing besides your extra credit opportunities, which we're going to talk about. The email quiz is the only thing that you're not going to submit on Wolf Den in some capacity. So follow those directions, send that to me by 11:55 p.m. The other thing that's due tonight by 11:55 p.m. is the course check-in, and that's 5 points for you. And the registrar asks us to do that to make sure that the people on the roster are actually engaging with the course, because that affects your financial aid and people don't want to pay for something that they're not actually taking. So that's the deal with the assignments. In terms of the email policy, like I said, we're going to get into it, but just know, I realize it's intense. You may have never had anybody have an email policy before, but that's partly why I have one, because love y'all, mean it, but a lot of my students are graduating and they don't know how to send appropriate emails to people, which is a problem when you're going into the workforce. So please don't email like you text. You're going to want to put punctuation in there. You're going to want to say hello to whoever you're talking to or writing to. You're going to need to let them know what it is that you want, because real talk, none of you ever email me just to say, hey, great class, which is fine. It comes with the territory. I know what I'm getting into and I don't mind it one bit. I love to hear from y'all, but you're emailing for a reason. So don't make it difficult for me to find your email later when I search for it. Sometimes when you don't put a subject line in there, it gets lost and goes to my spam folder. With all of the different ways they're trying to block spam on campus in the IT area, sometimes it gets caught up and I never even can see it when it gets in my spam folder, or maybe it never even gets there. So make sure you put a subject line in there telling me what you want. Say hello to me. Nobody comes to my office during student office hours for the most part, and you definitely aren't, because we're on a winter term and we're doing this online. But think about it like this. You're emailing me because you want help. If you came into my office because you wanted help, I would hope that you wouldn't walk into my office without making eye contact, without speaking to me, and drop the assignment that you wanted me to look at or take late or whatever it is that you need, drop it, and then just peace out and walk out of my office. You wouldn't do that because you'd know that that was rude. Well, or at least not super appropriate means of interaction. So now that we're in a digital age, which we've been in for a long time, and especially it's ramped up since COVID, email has become a form of public speaking, but it's just in writing. It's become a substitute for things that we used to do on the telephone or in person, and we do online. And it's an issue when employers are nervous that people who they hire will not know how to shift gears and email, unlike they text, a little bit more structured, a little bit more formal, a little bit more professional, and they're not going to want to hire you. And here's the thing, when you're submitting your assignments and you need help or and you want me to look it over early or check it or something like that, I'm happy to do that. But that's a good lesson, a good little simulation for when you might be sending your application materials for a job. Let's say that you're emailing a prospective employer and you've got your cover letter, your resume, all of the stuff. Maybe they've asked you to fill out a questionnaire and you're submitting it online. Sometimes you're submitting it via email. I can tell you that nobody ever reaches back out to tell you why you didn't get an interview or why you didn't get hired. Sometimes people don't even tell you exactly why you get fired. And it might be because they don't open your application materials because they don't bother because the email wasn't appropriate. And here's the thing that I really feel passionate about. And I know this is not going to be a really long video because the email section is a big part of what we're going to talk about today, because I'm on a little bit of a mission to make sure that my students stand out in the crowd, because other professors at other colleges may not be doing that. You're not unique in the sense that y'all tend to email like you text. So how can I make you stand out? How can I help you stand out in a really positive way? Well, I am going to teach you how to email in a way that makes people want to hear more from you, want to know more about you, and want to hire you, and want to communicate with you further. Okay. So it's really important. And I know it's going to be irritating, but anything can feel kind of crunchy and weird when it's new, right? So give it a chance, because I'm also going to email you respectfully. And speaking of respect, I know when y'all email like you text, you're not trying to be disrespectful. I know that. But I want you to try to do one better and actively try to be respectful and see what that does in terms of how people communicate back with you, especially in a work setting. So that's why I feel so strongly about it. And I developed the email policy in consultation with the Career Services Center on campus. And I just think I would rather you be irritated and put out with me now than be irritated and put out with me later when you realize I didn't teach you something I could have because I was too worried about whether or not you were going to like me. I want you to like me, that's a bonus, but I want you to learn and I want you to be prepared when you get out of here. And if I'm too caught up in trying to be your friend, then I'm not going to prepare you as much as I could have. So hopefully this will be a nice balance of supportive and challenging content for you in this curriculum. So let's get back to the syllabus. We'll hear more about the email policy in a little bit. So on the front page of the syllabus, and you can get to the syllabus by clicking on the syllabus tab, like I wrote you in yesterday's introductory email. You click on this syllabus tab on your PC or your laptop. It'll be on the left side of your screen. I think that the mobile app is a little bit different. So just find the syllabus tab once you've already clicked on the course, and then the syllabus will be there for you. It's there in two different ways. There's a downloadable PDF that is attached to the syllabus files, and then there's a cut and pasted version that's in the content section. When you just click on syllabus, it shows up. My advice is to download the PDF. That's the same one that I am showing now. It's the same one I attached to yesterday's email. And the reason for that is the formatting doesn't always preserve exactly, and the calendar is a little bit easier to follow. The grid followed the formatting a little bit better in the PDF. So just FYI, and we'll talk more about the course calendar in a minute. All right. So the course description, most of this I'm going to trust y'all to read on your own. And I would trust you to read it on your own regardless, but some of it needs a little bit of extra context, and that's what today is for. So the course description, it's public speaking. We're going to do our best to simulate speaking publicly, even though we're online, and you're going to be doing your speeches on YouTube, which we'll also talk about a little bit more. So the contact information, that's me. They suggested I put a picture there. That's me. Yes, I am wearing overalls. If you see me on campus, you know I'm a big fan. I love a good overall. That's my office phone. That's my email. Hopefully you can see the cursor as I'm highlighting over that. Every time you email me, you're going to follow that email course policy, and you're going to get participation points for following the policies, all of them, especially the email one. So I will look to double check because I had to adjust the point values a little bit for the accelerated term, but I believe 75 participation points are up for grabs. And a lot of that will be earned just by turning your assignments in, because if you don't turn assignments in, you don't follow directions, you're getting hit twice sometimes, in the sense that you're losing points on the assignment, but you're also losing participation points for not following the directions or not turning things in. So just following the procedures and the policies and engaging in the course is going to earn you those 75 points. Okay. If you need to talk to me more face to face, send me an email and let me know that, and we will work with your schedule and schedule a Zoom time to talk with each other. Now, I am not going to reteach the lessons because those are going to be available for you on YouTube so that you can watch and keep up. But I'm there to ask questions too and to answer your questions. Here's the thing about questions. I do not believe in stupid questions. I know a lot of people say that. I really, really mean that. But I do believe in uninformed questions. And an uninformed question is something that you could have known the answer to if you had looked at the materials already provided to you. So you get hired somewhere and you are asked to read an employee handbook before you come in on your first day and you don't do it. Now, are you going to remember everything? Absolutely not. But do your level best to absorb everything that they want you to absorb, right? And so if you show up on your first day and you're asking questions that make it clear that you did not do what they asked you to do, you did not look at the handbook, or love y'all mean it, sometimes you skim things and think you're reading them. And there is a difference. Following directions and reading carefully, those are skills that are going by the wayside sometimes today. So I really want to reinforce those foundational fundamental skills in this class and reward you for them, because again, those participation points are going to come from that. So when you read the chapter, because remember, my videos are not a substitute for reading, they're a supplement to the reading. They're to help you understand what you read. If you think about it like I'm a track coach, I could be the best track coach in the whole wide world, but I can't help you run faster or better or more effectively if you insist on coming to practice without your shoes on, or you lie down at the starting line. I can't do much if you're not going to meet me halfway. Okay. So my job is to help you understand what you read. Your job is to read. Okay. So if you can get to the 50-yard line with me, I will take you to the end zone. All right. You're going to learn I'm big on analogies, especially sports ones. So that's where I'm coming from. So if you ask me a question and it's clear to me that the very reason you have the question is that you haven't read things like, what did we do in, well, we don't have class, but what am I supposed to read today? And I've already put that on the syllabus course calendar, and I've already emailed you to remind you, and I've already posted the chapter PowerPoint overview video. I'm going to say, please refer to the course calendar and let me know if you still have further questions. And you're going to get annoyed by that. But I'm here to teach you how to ask informed questions rather than make the fact that you didn't prepare everybody else's problem. Okay. Those are not the kinds of citizens that I'm trying to turn loose in the world when they get out of Newberry College. Okay. So I'm going to push you to do your part, and then I will ask remaining questions, not questions that you only have because you didn't do your part, right? Now, here's the deal when I do that, and I need you to look at my face and hear what I'm saying, don't hear what I'm not saying, okay? Because I love y'all, I love my job. If I send your email back to you and I say, please review the email policy and try your message again, that doesn't mean I don't want you to try it again. That doesn't mean I'm trying to put up a barrier in communication. It means I'm trying to teach you something that I think is important, because guess what? It would be easier for me just to answer your question. It would be easier for me to ignore the fact that you're not following the email policy. So I'm going to go that extra mile to teach you something because I think it's important. Okay. And sometimes there's confusion about the role between teacher and student, especially in higher education like college. And sometimes students think because they're paying for the opportunity to learn that they're our customers, that they're the professor's customers. And that's just not the model that I subscribe to. Y'all are not my customers, you're my students. And I know things that are worth teaching you, and that's what you're paying for. You're here because I know things that you don't know yet. Just like you know things that I don't know yet, and maybe we'll never know. right? I might never know the things that you know. And there are things outside of this curriculum that I know that you're not going to know. What I'm hoping for is that we can have the humility and the respect and the curiosity to learn those things from each other. Because every time y'all do a speech, I learned something that I didn't know about your point of view regarding that speech or regarding that assignment. Even if it's the same topic on paper, like you do a speech on 9/11, somebody else does a speech on 9/11, those are going to be very different topics to the people who do the speeches on them, because it's such a broad topic. Your lens that you have through which you deliver that speech is going to vary from human to human. And I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to be curious. I'm going to want to learn, and I'm going to want to expand my framework to include things that y'all can teach me. And I'm asking you to do the same thing. Okay. So if you get an email back from me asking you to review the policy and try the message again, I mean what I say and I'm being sincere. That's what I want you to do. I'm not trying to get it to where you're not comfortable emailing me. I'm just trying to teach you something that I think is important. And you might have heard the phrase, teach someone to fish, or give someone a fish and they'll eat for a day, but teach them to fish and they'll eat for a lifetime. That's what we're working with here, right? I'm trying to give you skills that I think will benefit you for the long term. So we're playing chess, we're not playing checkers, but sometimes in the short term, it is going to be annoying. It's going to be obnoxious. You're going to be mad at me, and that's okay, because there is a method behind, or there's a method to my madness. So, okay. So also, if I send you back something and you ask me a question and I say, please review chapter 5 and let me know specifically what you don't understand after you've done that, that's because the question you asked is clearly answered in the chapter 5 course material, right? That doesn't mean I hate your guts. That doesn't mean I don't want to hear from you. That doesn't mean I don't think you're anything other than smart and wonderful. But sometimes I find that I'm training y'all to look for information rather than have it be spoon fed to y'all. And I don't want you to need to be spoon fed. Okay. All right. So as I'm talking about all this, you're like, what does this have to do with the syllabus? Well, you're going to see that I am reinforcing some stuff. I have a cat hair on my eye. I am reinforcing some stuff that is already in the syllabus that we're going to get to. So in terms of the textbook, I already emailed y'all about this. You get this in the resources tab on Wolfden. But if you're somebody who learns better with a physical book, this is the information if you want to order one. You can get them off Amazon, and that's an older edition, so it should be cheaper than getting a new one. I use the older editions for my accelerated terms. Okay, you're also going to need to navigate Wolfden, which means you're going to have to access Wolfden and log into Wolfden and your campus email. It is not an excuse that you don't know your password. Okay, so please email IT on campus and let them know, or you can call them. They have a phone number you can look up on the Newberry College website. Look them up and get help from them, because if I could help you do that, I would, but it's not my area and other people get paid to do that. So you need to be able, because the only way I can contact you, I'm not going to contact you at your Yahoo or your Gmail or your @me.com email address. I'm going to send everything through newberry.edu. That's how I contact you. You need to be able to check that, and I recommend you check it at least once a day, because that's the only place I have to send you direct communication, and it is always going to be to your benefit. I'm never going to send you something that is going to hurt you or catch you. It's going to be something like, hey, I looked at the course calendar and I realized we have a little bit more wiggle room here. I'm giving everybody an extension on this. I might do that, right? Or I might say, hey, I was getting a lot of questions about this one thing and I wanted to make another video. Check out the YouTube link. Or I just wanted to write something really fast in this email just to clarify. Or hey, Wolfden glitched and the assignment wasn't working, but now it is. So go ahead and check it. Those types of things. So you need to be able to get into your Newberry email. You need to be able to navigate Wolfden. You need to be able to navigate YouTube, and you're going to need to have your own YouTube account to post your speech videos, which we're going to talk about too. So student learning outcomes and program learning outcomes, that's all the stuff that the college and the core and the mission statement, that's how it all aligns. So you can look at that on your own time. The value statement goes into the idea of why is this worth your time? And I've talked about that a lot already, so I'm not going to belabor that. But essentially, we live in a time where interpersonal skills, and I know this is online, but I'm going to try to simulate it as much as possible. those in-person dynamics, or even valuing those in-person dynamics and trying to make eye contact with people, trying to actually, the best way to be engaging is to be engaged, right? The best way to have people care about what you're saying is to think that you care about, is for them to think that you care about them as listeners, right? So in the real world, people love to say that you're entitled to your opinion, and you 100% are. Of course you are, right? But you're not always entitled to be taken seriously. You're not entitled to be heard because you're not entitled to force people to listen. Now, in a perfect world, will you be heard, especially by people who are important to you and close to you and in your everyday life? That's, yes, that's not exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if you want to be taken seriously and you want your opinion to be credible, you got to learn how to back up your opinion. You got to learn how to share that opinion in a way that people will, that people are going to be reachable by, right? The way that you approach trying to persuade someone in the second speech that we're going to do is a good indicator of those factors. We're going to talk more about that as the semester progresses. But my point about all of this is this class and this curriculum is important because, especially since COVID, people have, and in divisive political times, people have really lost sight of looking at each other as human beings and valuing those things that our central nervous system is designed to sort of search for, right? Like a Bluetooth trying to connect, right? We're trying to connect with each other. We're social animals, and we're living in a time where the internet gives us the illusion of connection, but in some ways is actually depriving us of it. And so, even though we're online, I'm going to try to reinforce the importance of those types of skills, like eye contact, like listening, like thinking of the other side of the argument to try to shore up any holes that might be in your argument, how to recognize the difference between being challenged and being attacked, how to recognize the difference between being productively uncomfortable, that productive discomfort that comes with growth and expanding your framework and your understanding of things. And what is the difference between that productive discomfort, is sort of intellectual growing pains, and actually being unsafe, right? Because I'm not doing my job if you're 100% comfortable 100% of the time in this course, because that means that you're not learning anything and you're not being challenged, right? Anything is challenging. Anything that's challenging is going to be uncomfortable. If you're stretching muscles you're not used to stretching, they're going to hurt a little bit, right? But I don't want them to hurt to the point where you're actually unsafe. So I'm going to trust you to know where that boundary is, and to make sure that you're engaging with everybody and every topic in a way that is healthy for you. But try to listen to each other, especially in that persuasive speech, because people are going to be coming at topics from a way that you might deeply disagree with. Okay. And that can be scary. And we're going to talk about this more when we get into that unit. But that can be scary because we identify with our beliefs so deeply that when we ask people to change their minds, we're asking them to change their identities, right? We're asking them to change what they see in the mirror. Because when people think about what they believe, they don't say things often like, I believe in the Democratic Party, or I believe in the Republican Party, or I vote Democrat, or I vote Republican. They say things like, I am a Republican, I am a Democrat, right? Or they say things like, instead of saying, I believe in women's reproductive rights in these ways, or I think abortion should be illegal for these reasons, they're not saying, I believe these things. They're saying, I am pro-choice, I am pro-life, right? These, I am pro-capital punishment, I am anti-capital punishment. We use that kind of language, and it's very telling because we are identifying ourselves with these ideas. So if we can have reverence for that, we will understand why people can react so aggressively sometimes, and why we ourselves react so aggressively sometimes when we feel those beliefs being challenged, because it's scary to challenge what we see when we look in the mirror and what we believe our identities to be. And it's hard not to get on the defensive when we're faced with those challenges. So if we can have reverence for what we're asking when we are presenting our opinions and sort of eliciting those of others, we can have reverence for that. And that's going to keep this class and all debates that we have, hopefully, in life a little bit more humane, a little bit more compassionate, right? If we're leading from that place, and if we both give and deserve others the benefit of the doubt. right? Or we give others the benefit of the doubt. We deserve the benefit of the doubt from others. Okay, so that's why this is important. That's why this class is worth your time, and you can read more about the specifics there. You're going to need to have access to an internet accessible device, which you must if you're listening to me right now. And you're going to need a camera and a microphone that you can, and a device that you can use to upload to YouTube. Okay. And I'm going to have to communicate with you online, just like I'm doing now, and via email, like we've already talked about. So what you need is listed all there. I went through it just now. You can read the statement on vocation in the Newberry Creed on your own. That's in all syllabi. The learning environment I've talked about a lot. How you participate and how you earn your grades, I've talked about some. So engagement in the class and the curriculum. If I don't hear from you ever again and you don't turn in any assignments, you're not going to get full participation points, right? And you're going to lose the points for the stuff you didn't turn in. So submit your assignments on time and in the correct format. Put your name on things for the love of the game. Please put your name on things, both because it's college, put your name on things. Also, because it just helps me know a little bit that you take ownership for your assignment, that you're not just giving me something that you generated online in AI and you didn't even bother to put your name on it. Also, just mechanically, logistically, when I download your assignments to grade, they all come down in a zip file, and I don't have time, nor do I have the inclination, frankly, to try to match everybody's assignment with their name because they couldn't be bothered to put their name on the assignment. Okay, so you get participation points for that, because if you're going to make my life easier, I'm going to reward you for it. So positive contributions to the learning environment when you're discussing things in the discussion forum, which we're going to talk about when that assignment gets closer. Following the email policy when communicating with me. Preparedness for work days and group partner work. People love to not turn in their first drafts and not get feedback on them. And the feedback calendar is designed so that you get feedback and then you have time to apply that feedback. But if you don't get that feedback, you're not going to be prepared for the final draft. But then still, I'm getting tons of messages right before the final draft is due with people asking me questions that they only have because they didn't submit the first draft, right? So I understand things happen and you're going to drop the ball on some stuff. That's why I offer so much extra credit. So I'm not mad at you for not being perfect. If you're perfect, I'd be out of a job. So thank you for needing help and putting food on my table. But I'm also not going to pretend that your actions don't impact other people, because that's a lesson baked into everything that I try to teach all of my students. So you can't expect me to have time. I've got 24 students in these classes this term, and it's fast. It's a fast-paced term. So you can't expect me to be able to give you feedback when you didn't show up, essentially, for the window that I allotted for that feedback. I will try, but you can't bank on that. Okay. So you get participation points for submitting things just as you're supposed to. You essentially get a cookie for doing what you're supposed to do. That's what participation points are. Okay. Respond to course emails, do the written assignments that don't carry separate points. Those would fall into the participation category. Stay up to date on the course calendar, follow instructions, apply feedback. We just talked about that, and adhere to all the course policies, including academic integrity policies. If you turn in your stuff and you don't cheat, and using AI for assignment generation, not just for brainstorming topics, but if you're having AI, I didn't go to school and rack up all the student debt so that I could teach a robot that I don't even know I'm teaching, right? I want to know you. I want to know your thoughts, your views, your beliefs, your perspective. I want to teach you. I don't want to teach a robot. So if I catch you making me teach a robot, I'm going to report you for violating the academic integrity policies. Okay. So read your Wolfden feedback, apply it, all that jazz. So this talks a little bit more about the outlines, but we're going to talk about those as they come due. It's your responsibility to keep up the course schedule. It's tough, but it is absolutely doable, especially because I designed it so we're only doing 2 speeches instead of 3. And I explained that in the email yesterday. Read your stuff. I'm not doing all this. Y'all might look at the emails I send and be like, Professor Butler, oh my gosh, this is the longest email in the world. But guess what? I emailed it because I'm trying to help you. And I didn't have to do that. I promise you, however long it takes you to read it, it takes me way longer to write it. And I'm doing it because I'm showing up for you. So it has value. If you look for a reason to be disgruntled, you're going to find it. If you look for a reason to learn, you're going to find that too. Okay. If you look for a reason to enjoy things, you're going to find that too. Okay. All right. So just read, stay up on stuff, and I will respond to you. Read the classroom etiquette and expectations for synchronous online students. That's at the end of the syllabus. I left it in there just because, y'all, real talk, I've had some people, even in their speech videos, try to give me a speech video. They're not wearing a shirt. Like, you would not, I hope you would not show up to my class to deliver a presentation, not even have a shirt on. I mean, come on now. So put your clothes on. Don't give a speech while you're driving. These are things I shouldn't have to say, but here we are. So I'm saying them. So even though we're not in a synchronous class, I left those in there because they do apply to how we're going to approach our speech presentation videos when it's time for those to be submitted. Okay. How am I going to be teaching you? We've already covered that. We've already talked about the videos that I'm going to upload on Wolfden. The assignments are in the coursework section of Wolfden, as are the PowerPoints in the PowerPoint section, as are the assignment criteria. There will be a speech number 1 unit and a speech number 3 unit, because remember, we're not doing speech number 2, so it jumps from 1 to 3. So there will be a speech number 1 unit, everything you need to know, everything you need to turn in, the assignment criteria and the assignment slots themselves will be in the speech number 1 unit. Same thing for speech number 3. The only exception for that will be when it's time to upload your video and then respond to people's videos. That's going to be in the discussion forum tab on the left side, at least on a PC, of your screen in Wolfden. And if you have questions about that stuff, or if you can't see something, shoot me an email, let me know what the trouble is, take a screenshot, let me know what's going on, but be specific. Because if you don't tell me, if you just say, I can't get in, and you don't give me any more than that, I'm not going to be able to help you. It would be like if you were asking me directions for somewhere because you were lost, but you didn't tell me where you were and you didn't tell me where you were going. What am I supposed to do? Hand you a globe? That won't help you, right? So turn that flashlight into a laser, tell me what the problem is, and then I can help you more effectively. Okay. These classroom policies are usually in place for my in-person classes, but I've adapted them a little bit and left some of them in. So no hoods or billed caps shall be worn during your speech videos. And that's because they cast shadows or they cover you, and I can't, sometimes the shadow's so bad I literally can't see your mouth. So just no, right? Just no. So no hoods or billed caps shall be worn during speech videos. But I'm not trying to get you to uncover your hair. I know that that can be an important issue culturally in certain ways, and also just comfort wise in lots of ways. So headscarves, wraps, bonnets, do-rags, all that's permitted. I just want, if you're wearing a billed cap, even, I wouldn't say that's the most professional thing to wear for a speech, but I'm not trying to run your life. At least turn it around. I'll always tell you the spirit of the policy, meaning the purpose of the policy, so that you know where I'm coming from, because I'm not just trying to control you, right? There's a reason for these rules and policies, and I want to be able to see your face, okay? You wouldn't show up to football practice with your cleats tied together. Don't show up to speech presentation video time with something in your mouth or with something covering your face. And that goes for your hair too. Whatever hairstyle you have, I love it. I support it. Please just let me see your eyes. Whatever you need to do to be able to see your eyes, that's what I need you to do. Okay. Speaking with gum, candy, or food in your mouth is prohibited. I just explained that. Do me a huge favor, y'all. If you yawn, I hope you don't yawn during your speech, but you might. Please, I'm not a dental hygienist for a reason. And since COVID and I taught online so much, I am just like scarred. I don't know what it is, but people used to, as like just a normal manners thing, they would cover their mouths when they yawn. People don't do that anymore. And online, it's even worse because, like, look how close my face is, right? When I am watching 24 speech videos and then people are like, for whatever reason, yawning huge and going toward the camera rather than away from it. I don't need to see your tonsils. I'm just going to lay it out there. Do me a solid, cover your mouth. It's considered polite. I think that's a skill that everyone should adopt. Just, I don't want to see your tonsils. I can't take it, you guys. It's grotesque. I love y'all. I'm just being honest. Like, nobody needs to see it. Nobody, right? You don't want to see mine. That probably grossed you out if you're being honest. So let's just not. Okay. Please remember that a webcam is a window. It's not a mirror. So be attentive, respectful, and appropriate at all times. the beauty of being able to submit these online is that you do get to record them as many times as you want. Don't drive yourself nuts doing it. But if somebody walks behind you and they're not fully clothed, I've had that happen before, maybe don't submit that take, right? Maybe start over. Okay. So make good choices. Please, speaking of good choices, for the love of all that is good and holy, do not record or attend Zoom office hours while you're driving. Don't do it while you're lying in bed. That one's first. I kind of skipped to the driving one. But when you're lying in bed, that's just like, please, please don't do that. Sit up, right? Sit up and engage at the very, very least. And please don't record or Zoom while driving. That's what I was about to get into. It's dangerous to you and others, right? Just don't. I don't want to have to. No, I don't even want to go into that. But you don't want to have to explain to somebody why you hurt their family member or them because you were zooming in. And it's not a thing, well, I couldn't do it unless I was driving. What that there's no reality where that's a reason, that's not an excuse, right? So if the only time that you can present your speech is to record it while you're driving, then you need to rethink taking this class at this point in your life. Okay, because that can't happen. I will not grade your speech if you submit it to me while you're driving. Now, if you're in a car because that's the only quiet place you can be, then fine, but it needs to be clear that you're not driving. Because I've had people submit speech videos and they're literally driving. Like I can hear horns honking, I can see the background changing, like, and it's below their, like, what are you doing? You're going to kill somebody. So please stop. If you were thinking of doing that, don't. Okay. All right. So a quick note on having your camera and your mic on. The class is designed so that all cameras and microphones must be on during your presentations. Obviously, that's how you record them. So it's public speaking. We have to speak publicly. But with that being said, I know that not everybody has the best or most suitable home environment to make these videos. So, and you might not want to show your home environment for whatever reason. That's your business. I'm not trying to get into it. So if you don't feel comfortable having your camera or microphone on inside your residence, or you can't find a quiet place, please record your speech video at whatever angle you're able to from the quietest place you can find. So if it's, ideally you're going to be standing up and you're going to be giving your speech in front of a video, like in front of a camera that's like stationary and I can see your whole body, or at least like your waist up. But sometimes it's going to look exactly like I'm looking right now. Sometimes it's going to be you holding your iPhone, whatever you need. Sometimes you're going to be locked in a closet or a bathroom because your siblings are being too loud. We're going to figure it out. I'm not trying to get you to twist yourself into knots. I just want you not to drive while you're zooming in. That's pretty small of an ask, I think. Okay, the infamous email policy. Sending emails. Please note that in the digital age, all means of electronic communication have become increasingly important. Consequently, emails should be written in a professional manner. The professor will not respond substantively, which means I won't answer your question, to any emails that do not include salutations, valedictions, subject lines, and written reference to any attachments. Should you send such an email, the professor will refer you back to this policy and example so that you may revise your message. Now, if you email me and you're like, Professor Butler, I'm on the side of the road and I had a car wreck and I can't turn my speech in tonight, I'm not going to be like, try your email again. Like, I'm a human being, right? But just the run of the mill stuff, I'm not going to, hey, Professor Butler, sometimes I don't even get that. Literally, people will just email me. No subject line, no text in their email. It'll just be their assignment attached that they didn't turn in and they're expecting me to take it late, or they're expecting me to give them feedback on it, but they don't communicate with me at all about it. They literally just attach something to an email. I'm not opening things that y'all have not told me what they are, right? I'm not trying to get a virus because y'all are watching bootleg movies and something attached to your email. Like, I'm not, no, thank you. So here's a sample email with the required components in red. So what's a salutation, a valediction? We're going to go through all of it. So in your subject line, you're going to tell me what it is that you want, because let's be honest, you're emailing me because you want something, which is fine, but let's be honest. So what is it that you want? You want help on outline. You want to ask a question. You've got, you need clarification about a chapter. You can't get on Wolfden. Something is going on. Tell me what it is, right? That's the subject line. Dear Professor Butler, a salutation is the root word of that is salute. So it's another way to greet or say hello, right? So, hey, Prof B, what's up, Professor Butler? It doesn't have to be super formal. I just want you to get used to putting something in there to say hello to me, to treat me like a person. Okay, so dear Professor Butler, hey Prof B, what's up Professor Butler, whatever. If you've attached something, tell me what it is, so I know that you meant to attach it. Or sometimes people will think they attached something and they didn't. And this lets me know either way. Either there's something that's attached that is not supposed to be, or there's something that's supposed to be attached but isn't. So please find my upcoming outline attached to this email. I'd appreciate it if you could look it over and give me feedback before I submit. The valediction is when we say goodbye. So thank you, see you later, talk to you soon, peace. It doesn't have to be formal, comma, and then sign your name, okay? So the syllabus email quiz, you have to send me an email by tonight at 11:55 p.m. that follows the email policy and indicates that you have read, understood, and agreed to follow the syllabus. So something like subject, email policy quiz. And then, hey, Professor Butler, comma, I've read, understood, and agreed to follow the syllabus. Thanks, John Doe, or whatever your name is. That would be sufficient. You get the full credit, okay? Following the email policy also factors into your participation grade, as well as into the email policy quiz grade that I just talked about. We talked about all of this. Read the academic dishonesty policy, read it thoroughly, and then let me know if you have any questions about what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do, because a lot of people are putting their speeches into a paraphrasing generator, and those paraphrasing generators are paraphrasing in a way that makes the assignment not make sense. Guess what? I don't grade on grammar. I might correct you on it just because I want you to, know, but I'm not going to take off points. Okay. So I want to hear from you. There's no reason for you to send me work that you didn't do. There's no reason for you to send me word choices that you didn't make. If I get something that doesn't sound like it's in your voice, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you for a Zoom meeting. And when you come to the Zoom meeting, I'm going to be like, can you explain to me like what this word, and this word means, like right now? And if you don't know those words, I'm going to ask you how they got in your paper. You're responsible for the things you put in your paper. That doesn't mean don't use a thesaurus. That doesn't mean don't use a word you haven't used before. But at that point, you become responsible for knowing what it means. Okay. And if a paper seems like, or a presentation seems like you didn't write it or it didn't come from you, I'm going to dig, because I'm not trying to teach robots. Okay. So don't use work that other people did for this class in other terms or in other sections that are happening right now. Don't use somebody else's work, period, point blank, if that person's a robot or a human being. So how to be successful in this course? We've been talking about this the whole time. Keep up with the schedule. Don't cheat. The usual. If you have a question about how much something is worth, or if you're like, oh my gosh, like I have too much going on, I'm not going to turn this in, how much is this going to hurt me? Don't make me work to tell you how okay it is that you're not going to turn something in. Students will email me and be like, hey, Professor Butler, I'm really busy. How much will it hurt me if I don't turn this in? Answer that question yourself with the information I've already given you. So the point values for all of the assignments are right here. Also, how you can offset any missed points, because I understand things do happen. That's covered in the extra credit policy that we're getting to. Submit all your written work. I'm not taking late work. I've already covered that in the emails that I've sent you. It's too fast. If I agree to take late work, I'm agreeing to let you be confused. I'm agreeing to let you fall behind, right? So it becomes an avalanche in an accelerated term. I'm not taking late work. That doesn't mean that you're, not going to be able to make up those points somehow with the extra credit, but I'm not taking late work, okay? Because one late assignment becomes 10 late assignments in an accelerated term. So please submit it on time, on Wolfden. I don't round up. Everybody wants to earn or to get points they didn't earn, but nobody's ever like, hey, you know what? I have extra points. Can you give them to somebody else? Nobody does that. So if you didn't earn the point and you didn't take advantage of the extra credit, you're not getting extra points. So if you have a 599, I'm not rounding that up to a D. I'm not. So you're going to have an F, because in this class, you have to really decide not to do well. You have to really kind of choose not to do well. Most people in my classes get an A because they turned in all their stuff on time. They did what they're supposed to do. Sometimes they might get a B because they dropped the ball on some things. They didn't submit some things, but usually we're dealing with A's and F's, and we're dealing with F's from people who just they chose to fail. They did not submit their things, and I can't grade what I don't have. It's really hard not to do well in this course. Okay. And the way that you do it, you have to really decide to. You have to not turn your stuff in. So if you're failing, that should not be a surprise to you. You should know, and you should know because you're not turning your stuff in. All right, how do you submit your speeches and your videos? You'll post your speech to YouTube, and then you will put the link to the speech in the discussion forum that will be appropriately labeled for speech number 1 and then speech number 2. And then your classmates will go in, watch the speech, and then they will respond to the speech using the evaluation rubric that I'm going to provide in handout 00 in the handout section of Wolfden. So use that as your guide. You don't have to fill it out or anything, but use it so you have substantive things to say. Like, you had a great preview statement. I understood what your main points were, but your volume was a little low. Can you speak up next time? So you're giving them things that they did well and things that they can work on, both. And I'm going to be looking for both, and you get graded for giving that to your classmates. Extra credit is really easy to get in this class because I encourage you to take notes so that you can retain what you are learning and take responsibility for it. So daily class notes may be emailed for up to 10 points of extra credit each session. So today, if you were to send one by 11:55, you would send one that responds to what we covered today, which is going to be the syllabus, and I'm about to upload the chapter 1 video. So you would take notes on the key concepts from chapter 1 and the syllabus and just what you took away from the class. It's not super formal, but just whatever resonates with you, whatever sticks out. And then you would attach, if you took it Microsoft Word format, you would attach that. If you took it by hand, you would attach a picture, a JPEG or something to your email, or however. Just make sure you're following the email policy when you send those to get your extra credit, because you can get up to a letter grade of extra credit just for sending notes, which you should be taking anyway, but I want to incentivize you to do that. The other way you get extra credit is by giving additional responses to your peers beyond what's required. So for speech 1, you're required to respond to 2 speeches. For speech 3, which is really our speech 2, you're required to respond to 4. So let's say in speech number 1, you respond to 3. 2 that you were required to, and then you get 10 points as long as it meets the criteria. You get 10 extra points on top of your final grade, just for that extra peer response. If you respond to 4, as is required for speech number 3, the persuasive speech, then you just get the assignment points. But then if you do 5 or you do 6, you get 10 or 20. You do as many as you want. It just maxes out at 100 points, which is a letter grade for that. So you could get 100 points for the daily notes and 100 points for the discussion forum posts, the extra ones that you've done. And that's 2 extra letter grades in addition to the freebie points I already communicated to you about. The way that extra credit works, I will not tally it until the very end of the term. Because I offer so much of it, it's a lot of extra grading. So if I have to keep up with that grading in addition to what your assignments are, then I'm not going to be able to offer as much extra credit. So think of it as an insurance policy. And at the end of the term, because we don't have A pluses on Newberry's campus, nobody can get an A plus. The computer won't let you do it. The highest grade you can earn is an A. So if you got a 900 or you've got a 9900, you got a 900 or you've got 9,900 points, right? That's the same grade. It's all an A. So at the end of the term, I look at anybody who doesn't have an A, and then I only grade the extra credit for people who need a bump, right? Who've done the extra credit, who don't have an A, and then I try to get them as close to that A or to that A as possible. These are the deductions for people are just having a harder and harder time making the time limit. They either go way over or way under. So this is how that shapes out, because it's 10 points on each speech assignment just for meeting the time limit, which is always and forever going to be 4 to 6 minutes. So we're going to shoot for 5 minutes, so we have a cushion if we're talking slower than we thought or faster than we thought, or something happens. We shoot for 5 minutes. We've got a cushion either way. You got a grace period. I don't take off points if you're 10 seconds over or 10 seconds under. So really, we're talking about 350 to 610. You're still going to get full credit. Okay. But if you have questions about the time limit, there they are. We talked about the YouTube videos. Please read this carefully and do your best to follow it. But just know the only thing I'm going to be a real stickler about is, can I see you? Can I hear you? And when we use visual aids, can I see your visual aids, right? Can I see you? Can I hear you? Can I see the visual aids that you want me to see? And please do it in a single take, because I'm not trying to get whiplash from a whole bunch of things spliced together. And that's not giving you the experience of delivering one single speech. So no editing, no splicing, no jump shots, none of that. So one single shot. Can I see you? Can I hear you? Can I see and hear everything you want me to see and hear if you're using presentation aids? That's really all I care about. Okay. And then how you submit them. And these are the classroom etiquette and expectations for the synchronous online students, but I just left them in there so you could look at them to kind of know the vibe for the videos. And then here's the course calendar, and I'm a nerd, so it's in school colors. We got that scarlet, gray, and white. So, Professor Butler, what do I need to read today? Look at topics, that'll tell you. Hey, what's our homework? Look in gray, that'll tell you. Hey, what's due? Look in red, that'll tell you, or scarlet. So the course check-in is due tonight by 11:55 p.m. The email policy quiz is due tonight by 11:55 p.m. And both of those assignments together will take you just a few minutes. And then tomorrow, you're going to need to have chapter 5 and chapter 9 read. I'm going to put those videos up tomorrow. Chapter 1 is about to go up as soon as I'm done uploading this one. So when things are due, and pay attention to the date, because I did the best I could to make it as clear as I could. But because this is a weird, choppy term and we have that holiday break in there in the middle, just don't get confused. Make friends with the course calendar. So that is the syllabus. And I'm about to send you this link, and then I will upload chapter 1. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.